So I felt like it was about time that we went live. And there's just been so much to cover with this whole K Michelle versus Porsha situation. We're going to be talking about K Michelle versus Tamar, literal versus. And we're also going to be talking about a little bit of tea with regards to Dr. Cheyenne. Evelyn has entered the chat as well. So we're going to talk a little bit about what she had to say also. So listen, grab your coffee, your tea, whatever you need to grab. But let's sit down and have a real Ponderosa. Sky Squad, we are officially in the building. Okay. A lot of you guys have been asking, like, well, why haven't you been live? And I'm like, sometimes it's difficult to lives are interesting because they actually take a lot out of me. So I'm trying to be judicious about how often I go live so that I can maintain my level of energy and my excitement about doing it. So that's why you've been getting pre-recorded videos from me for the past couple of weeks, just to maintain that like energy, inner energy, so that I can deliver. Having said all that, earlier today, K Michelle did an interview on Hot 97. And I have to shout out No Chaser because that was the first place that I saw it. I had done a completely different video about K Michelle and Tamar and the Dr. Cheyenne and Evelyn of it all. And so once I saw that clip from No Chaser featuring this Hot 97 interview, I watched that clip, we did the video, and now said, you know what? I need to watch the entire interview. Okay. I need to go back and watch the entire interview. So now we're going to talk in depth about what we learned from K Michelle. Okay. About this plot, this scheme, this scandal, the rumors, the lies, the nastiness of it all. So let's dive in. My first thought is I've got to shout out the interviewer. I'm sorry, I don't know the young lady's name, but what I will say is I respect, I bow down to you and your interview because I did feel like she came to the interview with questions, real questions. I didn't feel like she was doing anything for shock value. I felt like she really wanted to get down to the nitty-gritty, and I felt like she wanted to help facilitate solving the problem or getting down to the issue and finding out if there was a place of resolve. And not every interviewer has to come from that place, but I did like that she did that because she seemed very empathetic. And what I know to be true about interviews is that when you are interviewing someone, at least my style is, I want the person to feel so comfortable that they end up telling me things and revealing things that they may not have actually revealed without me ever even having to ask the question. That to me is where I like to be. And that feels more like conversation. And I love that this felt very much rooted in two women sitting down having conversation. So if you get an opportunity to watch the interview, definitely go watch on Hot 97. Okay. So K Michelle does talk in depth about this plot. Now, let me get into the why of the plot because we have been asking, well, what is the motive for all of this? What would be the reason that Porsha and Drew would be plotting on K Michelle as she enters into this space, specifically after it was Porsha who introduced K Michelle onto the show? What we do know, partly because of Porsha, and also because we know reality TV, is that when someone is introduced by a person on the show, that doesn't mean that that person is actually their friend. It just means that maybe they work together, which we know that K Michelle and Porsha did work together on a Lifetime movie, right? But that seemed to be a logical choice because they do have that movie in common, right? So why would we not, as production or a production team, work from that place? This is what I'm assuming. She does not say this, but I am assuming that, right? So she made the most sense as the introduction. But for K Michelle, her belief is, and this is where I have to dig deeper in my understanding of K Michelle's psyche in general, is that K Michelle believes that the goal here in this situation was to get her to react in the same way that she reacted when she was on Love and Hip Hop. But by the same token, K Michelle does not want to be also perceived in that same way as she was on Love and Hip Hop. But she says even on Love and Hip Hop, she did not just pop off on people. Those were buildups, and then she popped off. Okay. So she says that for her, it seemed as though the expectation was that whatever they were doing was going to lead to her either popping off, or that they were trying to lead her in a specific direction on a specific team or in some type of way. They were leading her someplace. This is what she says in the interview, and I'm paraphrasing, but this is the gist of it, right? So it's a little bit confusing, but if the goal here is we're going to poke at this girl and get her to react, turn into screaming banshee, pop somebody upside the head with some flowers, throw a candle, shake some tables. We're going to get this girl to make some good TV, whether she likes it or not. That is what it seems as though K Michelle is positioning as the reason for the plot. We are ultimately going to get her to react so that we can make some good television. Now, could that be true? Potentially, right? Because she says that some of those OG girls are self-producing, right? They've been on the show long enough. They understand how this thing works. And so they are producing themselves and they are trying to produce her. But what she is doing in real time on the show is they are trying to move her in the way of reacting, and she is trying to not be reactive. Now, here's my thing. A part of me would just rather her react, because then I feel like we wouldn't have to have this discussion into what is actually going on behind the scenes. In my mind, I'm just like, girl, give me the TV and react. But if she's trying to also position herself as housewife material, right, and not Love and Hip Hop, for whatever people look at that as, I would wager to tell K Michelle that I don't think she has to do any work in that regard. Here's the thing. Some of the women on Housewives have had knockdown, drag out fights. Okay. We have definitely seen Porsha yank Kenya by the hair. We've seen Cynthia get gully with it and kick Porsha, where the sun don't shine. We have seen quite a few things happen. We saw entire brawls on the Real Housewives of New Jersey. We've seen Tamara toss a drink directly in someone's face. So for me, I just feel like I don't think that there's anything that you need to prove to anybody, K Michelle, especially if it ain't in you to throw a candle and to pop somebody upside the head with a bed of roses. It's just not in you no more. And they're just not going to get that. And that's fine. But I do think that you should snatch them upside the head with your words. Now that to me would be entertaining. But here's the thing. She is refusing to fall in line with whatever it is that they are trying to do. But we're going to get into the deeper aspects of this in just 1 second. So bear with me as I walk you through what she says is happening here. Okay, this is again according to her. With regards to this rumor, I'm going to kind of try to go in order here. With regards to this rumor, this almost a decade old rumor about the stinky kitty, we'll call it that, right? We'll call it that. The stinky kitty. Can I be real with y'all? I don't I don't know much about algebra on that one, right? I don't, but I do know that as a man down there, if I'm at the gym, I don't think I'm gonna smell the best down there. In fact, I know I don't. After a day at the gym, you've been running around outside, you mowing the grass. I don't smell good down there. I don't. So, I mean, it might be some salty balls or something. I don't know. I mean, I'm just keeping it a G with y'all, like for real, for real. So for me, this stinky kitty rumor is like maybe it for women, it's definitely maybe it's more of a gut punch, but I think for me as a man, I'm like everybody gonna have that little funk box down there at some point. Maybe they just caught you on a bad day. Listen, maybe you was active that day. Shoot, people got lives to live. Anyway, with regards to that, one of the people who was verbal about said stinky kitty actually reached out to her, I guess sometime recently, to apologize to her and actually said that he really didn't know much about her kitty at all because they had actually never met. So she got an apology from at least one party involved in this situation. And I did go down the rabbit hole on the stinky kitty earlier. I just don't even think that it's really worth going into the details of it because it seems cockamamie and preposterous to me that somebody's even running around here talking about that. I mean, but again, that's where I'm at in life, and I think that that's just natural. At some point, y'all, you're gonna have a stinky funk box. You're gonna have a stinky kitty. You're gonna have some salty balls. It is what it is. Okay, like come on now, like this is real life. Like let's be real. You ain't gonna always smell the best, and who cares about that anyway? Unless, I mean, the only reason I could think of, unless you're trying to get down into those draws, then that's the only people that should be concerned about your kitty, or okay, outside of you is maybe the person that you're trying to get into, that you haven't trying to get into those draws, right? Otherwise, I don't care about that. It's so dumb to me. But that's just me. And again, for her though, she says that because that rumor was out, she talks about how that impacted her child and the ridicule that her child also faced as a result. Now, as an adult, we can have this conversation and we all know what I'm talking about when I say salty balls or when I say stinky kitty, and we won't that it could happen to anybody. But kids are they're a different breed now, and these kids be rough and tough and they be wilding. So that part right there, I don't like that because I do realize that those things do happen. And kids these days and the internet and what they say and do to each other, they be ruthless in ways that I can't even comprehend right now. So I'm gonna leave that, and I think that that's nothing like that should be happening. So they do get emotional about that, and the host does as well because just the impact with the kids and stuff like that. All right. Because somebody was asking her child. Here's the reason for that statement is because sometimes when these rumors come about, they do end up impacting the kids because of what kids end up saying when they see these headlines online, and then they go back and they tease and ridicule kids. I don't play about stuff like that. I myself was severely bullied when I was growing up. I was called all types of skinny and bag of bones, like because I was real like slim when I was growing up. I was called all types of names by all types of people. Um, and those things they resonate with you for a long time. They do. And to me, I don't think that um I just think that, if that was something that her kid was impacted by, that's not I don't like that type of stuff, right? But that's the stinky kitty of it all. I'm not going to beat that thing with a horse anymore, okay? Either you understand it and you don't. Fine. Okay. She then goes into the reason why she knows what she knows. That's really what I want to talk to you guys about right now. And I'm going to call it, for me, case closed for now. Okay. This is where the thumbnail comes in. For those of you guys who may not have understood why I put the thumbnail on the case closed on the thumbnail. Because I'm going to have to make an assumption and I'm going to have to leave it there. Because in lieu of K. Michelle pointing out exactly who told her this story, I have nothing else to go on. And knowing who told her about this plot would definitely go a long way towards me thinking to myself, well, I believe that person or not. I do believe her. I do believe that she was told something. I do believe that somebody said this to her. But I need to know about the credibility of the person who told us. And because she refuses to tell us that, it makes it very difficult. But I'm assuming that she is not telling us out of loyalty to that person. Okay. So that could be a wide variety of people. All right. From cast to production to people who are affiliated with production to another person who we're going to talk about right now. We'll call this person suspect number 4. Okay. So suspect number 4 to me is whatever ex that K. Michelle is claiming that Porsha was sleeping with 2 doors down. Remember that tweet that we talked about from from Monday's video. After the episode aired, the two were going back and forth, Porsha and K. Michelle. So in those tweets, K. Michelle was alluding to a person that Porsha was allegedly sleeping with that was, in this interview, K. Michelle was her last known ex. Now, we don't know who that was. Some of y'all were positioning that it was R. Kelly. I don't think it was R. Kelly because the way she positions this narrative is as though it is very current, or at least within the time period that they have been filming this show, which basically, in my opinion, rules out that name. So whoever this last known ex of hers is that Porsha was allegedly sleeping with ends up telling K. Michelle that Porsha was, I guess, either speaking ill of her or detailing what this plot was going to be. And this person, this ex, for me, I have to assume it, as suspect number 4, came back, told her, as she states, told her something, and now it has got K. Michelle on guard. Now, some people in the chat are saying, well, if it's an ex, why are you upset with not knowing that Porsha may have been fooling around with this person? Because Porsha has been single. For K. Michelle, it is not only that you are with the ex, because she says, I would have sang at your wedding. It was that apparently some things had been spoken about regarding K. Michelle and apparently this show. And then B, that Porsha apparently was not forthcoming about something with regards to this situation that we will see play out in the future episodes. And here, I think, is where we also may have an issue. Now, I don't know if it was the NBA coach. It could have been. Have we determined who this man, what the name of the NBA coach was? Because K. Michelle told Jason Lee. Now, see, this is where you got to follow all of the stories. K. Michelle, I believe, told Jason Lee, and I think it was that because I watched that interview, and it was a good interview too. So I highly suggest you go watch that. if you want to follow the trail of the breadcrumbs, right? K. Michelle basically said that she was with this, there was a man that she was with before she got on, that she was supposed to be going to Housewives with. Now, she ends up going back to her ex, and I'm paraphrasing here, lets the ex know who she is married to now, that this is about to be, I'm about to go on the show with this man. What you trying to do? Because apparently they have been kind of on and off for the past 11 years. We'd also seen K. Michelle, I think it was Marriage Boot Camp, with the husband that she has now. So there is a precedent for this long-running relationship, right? We do know that this relationship has been in existence for a while. So some kind of way, there's a switcheroo that happens, right? She's forthcoming about this. She says it, and then they get married, as she told Porsha in the episode, I guess maybe a few weeks or days or something before filming. And then she has to let the network know, there's not this guy, there's this guy. Okay? I'm just following the breadcrumbs. And I'm just telling you how the case has been laid out. All right? This is the evidence that I present to the court, Your Honor. This is me putting my Law and Order SVU University degree to the test. I am now presenting my case. But I don't know if it was the coach. So yes. That's what we do. Okay. So let's continue. So as she is filming and she is watching Porsha maneuver, girl, you're my girlfriend there through thick and thin. K. Michelle is giving the side eye because she now, and I'm assuming that there had to have been a period when K. Michelle first joined the show, as filming is proceeding, then she finds out this information. This is my assumption. And this is when the switch happens in K. Michelle's demeanor. If you notice the first couple of episodes, K. Michelle feels very effervescent. She is bubbly. She is kind of like, like it seems like she's enjoying herself. Then things take a turn, and there is now a entirely different demeanor in the way Kay is responding to the group. And we saw it in the first episode where she walked out of the scene because they were kind of getting heated and hot with Shamia and Porsha. Then we saw her shock and awe when it came to Porsha versus Kelly. Then it was the comment about the miscarriage, and I'm just playing these things back, and I'm rewatching the episodes in my mind, and I'm seeing Kay slowly start to feel the energy is going down, which I think is also what fans are reacting to. Because when we watch this show, we want high energy. Just like last season when we first started, and remember when Porsha, when they had the girls' trip to Nashville, I think it was, and Porsha's energy just felt so low. Like it just felt like, especially with regards to the Drew and the Dennis of it all, it felt like her energy was just in the sunken place, and it made the episodes not enjoyable. She was very much non-reactive when like just things were happening and discussions were being had that really would have required Porsha to be all in, and she wasn't in it. And she even tells Carlos King that when Kenya Moore left the show, she was not prepared to be the HBIC. She wasn't prepared to be to take that leading role because she was just going through so much. Okay. So when we talk about energy on these shows, similar to Nene, when Nene was not in it, we were all feeling it like, girl, pick it up, get with it. But whatever was going on behind the scenes with Nene that season that she was beefing with Cynthia and Porsha, she was upset that they brought Kenya to the final event of the season. There was all types of chaos. She was battling it out with Eva as well. Y'all remember that, right? So that was, I think, Shamari's one and only season. That season, that reunion, Nene was giving us nothing. Okay, so when a reality TV personality who is expected to give us something gives us diminished energy, we feel it, and that is what we are feeling right now, in my opinion, from K. Michelle, as she is, I guess, trying to maneuver her way through this landmine that she now sees or she now feels as a result of something that perhaps suspect number 4 has told her after his alleged cuddle time with Porsha. Now, apparently, according to K. Michelle, it is up to, we would reasonably believe that maybe Porsha was whispering, pillow talk into his ear about K. Michelle, and it was getting back to her this way. I have to assume that it was he who was in her ear who has told K. Michelle this information, but I could be wrong. But the evidence would suggest, right? The evidence would suggest. Yes, I understand. Here's the thing. There were multiple things happening with Nene. So please don't try to come at me like I don't know what is going on. And please don't try to come at me like I forgot about something that important. There were multiple things happening with Nene, not just that, okay? There was the fact that behind the scenes, as we know now, there were things happening with Nene and the network where she was ending up with reduced episodes. Do you not remember? She talked about this. I cannot stand when you guys make assumptions about something that clearly, you know what? Let me proceed. Let me proceed. Because there were multiple things happening with Nene at that point in time. If I'm not making any sense, babe, why are you here? Why are you here? You don't have to be here. You don't have to be here for the closing arguments, babe. Shall we proceed? Yes, indeed. Now, let's get back to it. Regardless of what the reality TV star is experiencing when they are going through that, whatever it may be, behind the scenes, in front of the scenes, regardless, when the energy is down, we feel it. We feel it, and we can see it happening. Okay? We see it happening now. So when you see this past episode, K. Michelle says that she called Kelly and asked her, because she's not watching the episodes. She says, when you watch the episodes, Kelly, what did you see? Kelly told her straight up. She says, "You look crazy, girl." So K. Michelle is well aware at this point now that she is indeed looking crazy. She is indeed looking crazy. So she understands it. She completely understands. And I also would have to wonder if that is also why she is doing the press that she is doing. I mean, not to mention the fact, obviously she's doing press because she's on the show. But I'm still wondering, when is the lead up to her on Watch What Happens Live? When is that happening? Like, and I'm wondering if, again, because maybe she is understanding how she's looking, that she also wants to be able to get her side of the story out, because something that she says that really triggered her was Porsha's appearance on Carlos King's podcast, where Porsha said that K Michelle is going to look back at these episodes and realize that she picked the wrong team. Now, I'm going to also give Kay some. Oh, someone says that next Sunday she's on Watch What Happens Live. Okay, good. Because, I mean, I would hope so because it's time, right? It's time. It really is time. It's time for her to be on there. Okay, perfect. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Listen, here's the thing. And I want to, the reason why that comment irked me so bad earlier is because I I ain't gonna even go there. Just know that that to me is something I take super serious. Don't go there. Please don't go there. Please do not go there with me. Okay? Because you can leave and never return to this channel. So anyway, I'm going to analyze something about K Michelle that I do think needs to be discussed. And I want her to take this, not that she's listening to my channel, right? Okay, you got to go. You got to go. If you can't take criticism, there is nothing in what I have said that is bad about Porsha. There is I've said nothing bad about. I'm telling you what K Michelle has said. If you cannot take, because listen, I know some of y'all really, really love Porsha. Some of y'all really, really love K Michelle. I don't have to be in that. I like them both. But we got to point out what's going on. And if you can't take it, if you're not emotionally ready to have these in-depth conversations, then please, by all means, bless us with your absence, because I cannot do it. I cannot. Jesus. So anyway, this is what I want from K Michelle. K, I want you to, there has to be a way that you can let go of this. And I know it's difficult. And I'm probably asking too much. But there is, I think, some residual discord and feeling and emotion from your previous experience on Love and Hip Hop and what happened with you with the ladies in the Atlanta circle. And there's also, I think, a desire to prove yourself to be housewives worthy, because you can hear it in some of the things that she says. And I just want her to realize that you don't have to do anything. You are a part of this platform at this point, and there is nothing you have to prove. And I know that you are in your head, and I know that maybe somebody has told you this information. But a part of what we are confused by is not actually just what you're experiencing visually on the show, but it is also what you might be tweeting out as the show is happening. Because maybe a day or two before the show aired this past Sunday, there was something she was saying, or around the time there was something she was saying about she hoped that there was a way that she could work things out with Porsha. I remember reading that verbatim on this platform. So But when the episode does air, it's a shift, right? So I think we are just a little bit confused about not only what you're experiencing because you cannot say who has told you this information, but also how it's being lived out on social media. And so I just think that some of that stems from some of the, and I hate to call it insecurity, I think, but I think it could be a little bit of that, or there's something there that almost makes her feel like she's not good enough. Let me get into this a little bit deeper, and I want you guys to follow along. This is why I wanted to do this live, because I wanted to give some clarity on this. So she was also on Club Shay Shay. So she did the Shannon Sharp interview. And while there's a lot of things we could talk about from that interview, one of the pieces of this interview was about Tamar. When asked if she would do a versus and who it would be against, she's not opposed to doing it. She says, and I suppose the Muppet. Now we can only assume that still to this day that she's referring to Tamar Braxton as the Muppet, for which I've yet to see Tamar respond, and I don't think that Tamar should respond. Okay? I don't think that I don't think that she should respond to this. Okay? But there's something that K Michelle says in this interview that leads me back to the point I was just making. K Michelle calls Tamar elitist. And I don't know if anybody picked up on that. Um and there were references to Tamar maybe considering herself above K Michelle, maybe because of the Braxton name, the legacy attached to it, the lifestyle that Tamar has lived, right? Just kind of being married to Vince and being also Tony's sister and having the shows and stuff like that. If you really listen, there seems to be this idea that K Michelle, and this could be as a result of things that she's experienced from her previous relationship, right? Where we know that she has alleged that there was some abuse there. This could be from the industry. We understand that the record label has told her, no, you're not country, you're only going to be R&B, that's all you can never do. We don't know if that has been from the Love and Hip Hop crowd, where they did not want anything to do with her, or now the stigma of having been on Love and Hip Hop being lesser than what Housewives is, because we know that Housewives tends to be the pinnacle of the reality TV space. All of these things combined for me are signaling that maybe that there is this feeling from K Michelle, and she also she calls herself the outlaw, right? There's this feeling that she's having to constantly scrap and fight for respect in all of these different facets of entertainment and the spaces that she is occupying. But the interesting thing is that even as she is fighting for that level of respect, she's still occupying those spaces. And so I just happen to wonder sometimes if maybe that is where some of her responses stem from, is this internal place of feeling like the world is perceiving me as not good enough. Is is that what I'm s- is it just me? Is it just me that it is, or does anybody else see a pattern here? And I'm not saying any of this to make her the bad guy. I'm saying this as an objective viewer, as someone who is watching all of these things. there is, in my opinion, a bit of a pattern there. And I want her to realize that you can step out of that pattern at any point in time because you're in these spaces and you did it. You did it. You're here. You're at the housewives level. You manifested that. You can do the country music. You manifested that. There is nothing out there that you cannot do. While I do think that a versus between Tamar and K Michelle, I think that would be great. But I don't, and somebody says in the comments, Tamar has a right to respond. She does. But just because somebody throws you a ball doesn't mean that you have to catch it. Somebody's thrown balls at me in this thing, and let me tell you something. I probably should have just let those balls fly. But some days you be like, not today. Okay? Not today. I don't want Tamar to have a not today moment. I don't want her to. Because I want her to, if Tamar's vibing in her own world right now and she's on a vibe and she's vibrating high, I want her to stay there. I want her to stay there. I don't know why K Michelle said this at this point in time. I don't know why. I don't know why. All I do know is that I want for Tamar and her mental sanity to just keep on walking. I ain't talking to you anymore, right? Because then the best way to put out a fire is to remove the oxygen. Okay? And sometimes you have just got to you can't give it no oxygen. I'm just going to have to let you suffocate all on your own, right? So anyway, those are my thoughts about for me this case of who's at the center of all of this. I have to close it for now because if we're not going to get the who said it, I'm just going to have to let this story play out and we'll maybe find out more. But for right now, I can't take no more. I can't. I can't. I can't. I shan't. I shall not. So, Kim Love 2006. My channel is really not to. I'm not here to chastise anyone. I haven't chastised anyone in this video. My goal is to simply walk you through what is happening, get an understanding of what K Michelle's thought process was with regards to this whole situation, and also exhibit a point with regards to what she said about Tamar on that show to illustrate the point that I was trying to make, right? So it's less about me chastising anyone as much as it is about me just simply stating what I see. In that, you are definitely free to chastise K Michelle in however way you choose to. Just like I'm not going to chastise Tamar if she chooses to respond. I'm just simply saying that as someone who views Tamar, and I also stated, I don't know why K Michelle said this. She could have simply said, I want to do a versus with Tamar and let that be what it was. I don't know why she said that. What I do know is, again, as we know that Tamar is on the healing journey, it would be best to go ahead and keep on healing in peace in your bubble and ignore this. That's where I'm at with it. Potentially, probably the way this is going, I can only see it being her and Porsha at this point. But I do, from what I hear, there is something that happens with Porsha and Shamia on their cast trip, and we will have to see how that plays out. That could end up putting Shamia first chair. But I do think it's probably going to be K Michelle. But that's just based on what we see now, right? Last story. Smelly cat, smelly cat. What are they feeding you? Give me 1 second, guys. I do want to pull up our last story, and I got to do it live. So, pardonnez-moi as I pull this up. I did not have it prepared as I did earlier. Do you guys watch the Drop the Low podcast with Evelyn Lozada and her daughter? Shanice? Let me know in the chat if you do or if you don't. If you do, let's discuss. So, a pickup from the Dr. Cheyenne story that has been, well, it's not just one story. There are plenty of stories, right? Um um I cannot believe I sang that out loud. It was not meant to be shade. I saw. I happened. Did I? I felt like I saw that written someplace. Did I make that? Did it just pop into my mind? Oh God. Oh God. Listen, I've already talked about my own salty balls. So I mean, listen, why not? Come on, let's keep it real. We already know. So anyway, Dr. Cheyenne has been in the news. Shanice from the 90s. I love your smile. Dr. Cheyenne was on Basketball Wives, and I happened to see this clip of Evelyn and her daughter from their podcast, Drop the Low. And so I went down the rabbit hole. I've been down a bunch of rabbit holes today, actually. Um, so I watched the clip. I mean, I watched the full, just about the full show. So that you don't have to unless you really want to. And we got some interesting tea from this. So let's discuss. As we know, Brooke did call out Dr. Cheyenne and her alleged lack of credentials, right? Brooke posted about it. We talked about that. But we also know that Brooke spoke about those lack of credentials at the reunion. But Evelyn gives us some more insight into that whole situation. Evelyn says that before they even started filming, when Brooke found out that Dr. Cheyenne was going to be on the show, Brooke said, I know this woman. I know her. I've been in the same circles with her, and she is a fraud. So Brooke had called it out prior to. And Evelyn was like, well, I don't understand why this woman who is a doctor would be coming on to Basketball Wives, because she's like, I mean, she kind of disses the show herself, but I mean, maybe she was just being real about what the show actually is. And I mean, she was like, our show is kind of ratchet. So I don't understand why she would do something like this. But she says once she saw Dr. Cheyenne on the show, I mean, should I still be calling her Dr. Cheyenne? I guess I should, because she has trademarked that name. But that they even questioned this in the video, in the podcast. Evelyn says that it is illegal to call yourself a doctor in the state of California if you are not indeed a doctor. But because the woman has trademarked the name, um, Pam Oliver, okay? If you know, you know. Yeah, she trademarked it, apparently. So it gets into tricky territory, right? Because she's kind of branded herself and trademarked this doctor name. So then can you be in legal trouble for using it if you trademarked it? I don't know, right? So Evelyn is like, yeah, so the season goes on. Brooke and her have this whole situation happen at Dr. Cheyenne's event. It turns into a whole fiasco. So she says that Brooke, she also too confirms that, well, Brooke brought this up at the reunion, but she wasn't sure if it aired. I don't remember this airing, to be honest with you. I don't remember it airing. And Evelyn says that she called production. She called a producer on the show and asked, "Did you guys air that clip?" When I went to go find the clip, I could not find it anywhere online. So that doesn't mean that it didn't air. It just means that nobody has the clip. But when Evelyn says, she says that the producer that she talked to, I guess maybe hadn't gotten back to her. So she doesn't know if it didn't air, but she thinks that one of the reasons why they may not have aired that clip is because the network or the production company was not necessarily in the business of trying to out someone with regards to whether or not they have credentials or not, because she thought that maybe it could get into some like legal, I mean, it could be a legality thing. But I feel like on any other show, to be honest with you, I feel like if we were watching some other show and they said you are not a doctor, and if you can't even prove that you are one, I feel like they would have shown it. And I don't know why. I don't know why they didn't. I mean, maybe they felt like she wasn't necessary. I mean, you got a point on which when you're right. I'm a lot, apparently y'all had the same thought. Okay, so this is above it all. 26 says, as a LMHPR, I was appalled to hear Umar Johnson defend Cheyenne, saying she caused no harm to anyone. Um, I don't, to be honest with you guys, I don't really follow Dr. Umar. So I don't really know much about what he does. Wait, is he a doctor? Let me say that. Did I call him doctor? Is he a doctor? I I'm not trying to disrespect the man. I just don't follow him like that. Okay, Ebony says he is a doctor. Okay. Okay. Um I think Dr. Dre probably has an honorary doctorate from somewhere by now. He probably does. I mean, they go on to question whether or not Dr. Cheyenne, and they are not, listen, they're not licensed professionals or anything like that, but they go on to question whether or not Dr. Cheyenne is perhaps a sociopath. And they question this because they wonder if maybe perhaps Dr. Cheyenne is enjoying this spotlight that is on her, because regardless of whether or not the press is good or bad, she's in the news and getting the press. And does all press mean good press? I mean, that's always been a saying that I've heard. I would wager to say it doesn't. I've heard for them, they were speaking about, and they give a lot of props, and I have to also shout out, not doctor, attorney Simone. My apologies, it's a lot of doctor talk in this conversation. Attorney Simone, and you guys, I think, have been in the comments telling me about attorney Simone for quite some time. So I guess I'd also need to go down the rabbit hole with her content as well. But they really, they do a lot of speculating about where where Dr. Cheyenne's head might be and what she should do next. And I just think it's super interesting to hear from people who were on the show with her as they reflect on it. I would be interested, and if I were Evelyn, personally speaking, I would have Brooke on the show on Drop the Low Low, But I don't even know if Brooke is in the country anymore, right? Because I know for a while there, Brooke was off traveling the world in Africa. She had, her man, she was doing her thizzle. You know what I'm saying? She was out there, out there. I don't mean out in the streets. I just mean she was living her best life. And, I think that she should at this point because she's gone through a lot, right? The girl has definitely gone through it. And my heart goes out to her because I don't think that that's something that you ever really recover from, losing a child like that. Um, but I would love to hear Brooke's perspective on what exactly happened, what she knew or found out at the time. And not because I feel like I'm not trying to beat this Dr. Cheyenne woman down. To be honest with you, her brand of advice giving or her brand of helping people, it was never anything that I was really attracted to. So it all of this is kind of like I'm definitely I'm not a fan of it. I can only come at this from the perspective of if I'm someone who was charged with working with her, because I did used to work in marketing and PR, what I would do now, and I think that they have the same sentiment, is that I would just shut up. I would just shut up. They also talked about that people were asking for refunds for Dr. Cheyenne's new book because those people were saying that they were hoping to get advice and they were hoping to get advice from a licensed professional or someone who had those degrees and or that degree, and they were not and that's not what they were getting. So I don't know. I don't know. Oh my God, thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I received that. I received that one. I definitely received it. Um, what I say about Sheree? I also said the same thing. Cheyenne should have provided life coaching services under that title instead of all of the other things that she was claiming to be. Because if your desire is to truly help people, I think that you don't have to have let me put it like this. If your desire is to help people, then the best way to help people is to help them coming from a place of, I think, your own truth with regards to your own life and worldview and how you view it. If that is going to be your area of specialty, then if you are not indeed a doctor, then it probably would not be wise to position yourself as such to people who are coming to you, because we don't know whether or not those people are coming to you because of those credentials or not. But what we do know is that when someone comes to a life coach, they are coming for the life coaching, and they understand that you may or may not have a doctorate, a certificate, or whatever the case may be. You could have just even called yourself a mentor to the people, okay, and charged for your services. That would have been better, and none of this would even be a problem right now. And for that, to be honest with you, there are tons of people who are online right this very minute who are providing such services, and I'm sure making a very good living, because maybe the advice and the information that they are giving is good and resonates with those people. But I just have to say, just understanding the work that goes into having a degree of that nature, it is a slap in the face to the professionals and the people who have gone through those programs, who have done the studying, published the dissertations, uh, have to defend this, done the hours and hours and hours of work to get to that point where they have earned those credentials. And if you have not, in fact, done that and are positioning yourself as such, that is potentially a dangerous scenario for the person who is, in fact, seeking medical help or guidance, especially in the area of mental health, knowing where we are as a country in general and in life. That to me is preposterous, and it is almost it's crazy to me. And I try not to really judge the people because listen, again, as I stated before, everybody's got salty balls. Everybody's got a smelly cat at some point. But by golly, just if your desire is truly to help people, then you can do that. You didn't even have. This is like one of those situations where you ain't even have to lie about that. Like you ain't. I mean, if that's the case, you ain't even have to do all that. You are taking a more difficult path to something that should truly be, that doesn't have to be this difficult. For the sake of what? Yes, there is work to be done with that. Like, and I'm not saying that, listen, and this isn't about, I don't want anybody to make this to feel like this is about going to college or not going to college. Cause I'm honestly, there's some times where I'd be like, I wish I should have just came straight out and went to work, right? Because the student loans is the student loans, baby. Okay. But it's really about just understanding how deep that level of work is, how sometimes soul crushing it is, what people go through to achieve that, and what they have, like, it takes so much out of you. It does. It really, really does. And I've seen comments where people say, well, y'all don't say nothing about these, these white people when they do it or something, to that degree. And I'm like, listen, I don't, I don't know about those people because the people that they're talking about don't exist in my world. But this woman does, in terms of the periphery of, she exists on the periphery of Basketball Wives and reality TV. That is why she is being discussed here, because otherwise we definitely wouldn't. Okay. And you want to get into the Dr. Fields of it all? I don't even know that. I don't know that man. Okay. And I wish I didn't. I wish I didn't even know the name, to be honest with you. Because knowing what we know now, I wish I never heard of him. And I blame you, Oprah, for introducing him to our world. But that's a whole different topic of conversation for a whole different day. Um, Ebony says, I dated a guy who was earning his PhD at Michigan State. That's why I went to grad school. There's support groups for the PhD students because they would get depressed trying to write that 100-page dissertation. Um, Again, I think you're missing the point. They're watching you too. Side note, I mean, can you tell us what your is? Do you have it? They're watching you too. You should have. I hope that you are making content on your YouTube channel, because the name alone is very eye catching and it makes me want to know more. But I'm going to tell you what the big deal is. The question here is, what's the big deal? She didn't graduate, self taught, now practicing. A lot of y'all in debt behind dumb degrees. First of all, let's have a conversation about what we do and we don't do on this channel, right? I don't really care for calling somebody dumb. I don't care for calling people stupid. I think it's kind of lazy, to be honest with you. And I think you can do better than that. But what I also will say is you are correct. Yes, a lot of us did spend a lot of money on hard earned degrees. And I don't think anybody is dumb or stupid for having done so, right? I don't think that anybody is dumb or stupid for having not done so, because everybody's life choices are their life choices. And who are you to judge? You ain't the judge of none of that. So just I would challenge you to elevate your thinking a bit before calling someone dumb or stupid, right? That's number one. Or the degree dumb, because that's even in anything that you've heard me say today, like you don't have to go there. Now, in terms of your question, the big deal, she didn't graduate. The big deal, she's self-taught now practicing. Let me ask you a question. Do you want to go to a dentist and have them operating in your mouth if they did not graduate dental school and they don't necessarily know exactly what to do for your root canal? Do you want to go to that dentist if they've self-taught and been practicing on their little brothers and sisters, yanking teeth out with pliers? Do you want to go to that dentist that's not necessarily board certified? Do you want to go to get your plastic surgery done from somebody who is not licensed or have their certification and is practicing illegally, because for some professions you have to have credentials? Is that what you want? Is that what you want? Because if that's what you want, then I think you will be pleased to know that there are quite a few people who are operating outside of their jurisdictions in terms of what they can and can't do. And oftentimes we see what happens to those individuals as well. So I would think twice about asking what the big deal is about somebody who did or did not graduate, depending on the profession that you are actually speaking about. I think you might want to take a deeper look at that question, because it does matter, specifically if you're talking about doctors, lawyers, dentists, psychologists, like pharmacists. And I ain't talking street pharmacists. So, like, you really, really want to think about that. I mean, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's a reason why you would want the person that you are working with and operating in your mouth to be credentialed. There's a reason, like, you want you and I think that's also the thing too, is this. Mental health is not treated as a real issue sometimes within this community. And it is. Okay? It is. And it, depending on the level, requires a certain level of licensed, clinical, credentialed treatment. And and like, we got to understand that. We got to understand that. I mean, we can't take that for granted. Like, and furthermore, I mean, we could really go down the rabbit hole with why it's important that specifically that we have black doctors and mental health professionals who are also credentialed, because we know that there are specific issues that we deal with in our community that aren't always necessarily looked at, or are often overlooked in other communities, such that sometimes they're not even taken seriously. Okay, I want to have this conversation with you because I think it is super important, and I and because My general sense is that you're not coming from a bad place. So let me state that. I don't think that. But I do think that I would like to help you elevate your thinking in this. If your statement is, i.e., girlfriend does bomb hair, couldn't finish cosmetology school, needs a braiding license for what we do in the kitchen, those type of self-taught degrees, those type of dumb degrees, hair braiding, I want you to think past this idea that somebody is doing is dumb. That's number one. Number two, it's an actual profession. When people get a cosmetology license, they become credentialed, or when they become a trichologist, that's an actual specialty. Like, there's a reason why we have licenses for certain career paths or certain occupations, because if something goes wrong in those spaces, you don't want to be in the hands of someone who does not have any credentials. And specifically, we're not talking about hair braiding. We are talking about mental health. So I would like to stay on the topic of mental health, because we are talking about specifically Dr. Cheyenne Bryant, who may or may not, in fact, be a doctor, but actually owns the doctor title. So I want to stay on that particular topic, because when we start to veer off into these other spaces, I mean, yeah, there are certain things you could argue. Do I need a degree for this? Does it matter? It wouldn't matter if she didn't misrepresent herself. That's the problem. If she didn't graduate, if she never went to medical school, if she never got a doctorate, if she never did any of these things, it wouldn't matter, because she wouldn't be at that point calling herself a doctor. But the problem is, she calls herself a doctor. So when you call yourself a doctor, then yes, it does matter that you completed the degree, you did all the work, you did the dissertation, you stood in front of a defended that thing in front of a group of your professors, your peers, whoever it was. That's when it matters. And that's what I want you to walk away with from this conversation, is that in these fields, yes. And if you are saying that, yes, you did graduate, yes, you did do this, then yes, it matters. If you did not, then okay, call yourself a life coach, and cool. Cheyenne Bryan is making moves. That's the conversation I want to have with you, because again, I do feel like, genuinely, I feel like I don't feel like you just like a random comment. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's I really want to. And sometimes I feel like we got to have the conversation. Okay, now I'm just gonna have to give on up on it, because I don't. At a certain point, we, you gotta understand. I know you understand that a doctor doesn't just prescribe medicine. Like, okay, we gonna leave it alone at this point. I'm gonna have to let you think what you think, and you right, friend, you right. Just don't call yourself a doctor if you're not one. I would not advise. Okay, and I would also not advise calling anybody's profession in this chat dumb. Okay, and I'm gonna leave it at that, because I don't think that that type of discourse is not that's not what we do here. Anyway, y'all, this was good. This was real good. Yes, she did. She calls herself doctor. She says she graduated from Argosy. Like, art. You must be playing. You got to be playing right now. Get off the line. Stop playing on the phone, friend. Get off. Stop playing with us today. Okay, good. Good. There we go. I just wanted to like make sure we got it. Cause I feel like people sometimes sometimes we gotta have conversation. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes we gotta sit down as a family, have a conversation, hash it out. And that's how we grow as individuals. and collectively. We do it like this. And we can't always I can tell when a comment is just being rude, and I can also tell when there's a bit more discussion that we can have. Somebody says she's in the chat. Um Anyway, y'all. So thank you guys for tuning in and tapping in. We had a pretty lengthy discussion on this, and I appreciate you for staying and sticking in here as we worked our way through all of these different like topics. With that being said, it is dinner time, y'all. So you know what it is for me. I got to go and eat. All right. I will catch you guys likely tomorrow. Yeah, I'm sure something will be popping off. I'm sure something will be popping off. So we'll get into it tomorrow, and I will catch you all in the next video. Oh, listen, like the video if you haven't already liked this. Make sure you guys hit that like button. Of course, it gets the algorithm going, and also leave comments. I'm interested in hearing your thoughtful opinions and your top and your just your thoughts about it as we kind of work through this whole conversation about K Michelle, about Dr. Cheyenne, because it's all interesting discussion to me. It is super interesting. So I look forward to reading your comments. With that being said, I'll talk to y'all in the next video.